Alright, so here we are on lesson 8, more of solving equations, so kind of some similar examples to the one from the last lesson. So example 1 says, Julia, Keller, and Israel are volunteer firefighters. On Saturday, the volunteer fire department held its annual coin drop fundraiser at a streetlight. After 1 hour, Keller had collected $42.50 more than Julia. Israel had collected $15 less than Keller. Altogether, the three firefighters collected $125.95. How much did each person collect? Alright, so first I'm going to draw the visual here. So we're going to need 3 boxes, one for each person. So we have Keller and Julia and Israel. So now they said that Keller had collected $42.50 more than Julia. So we don't know what Julia has at all, so Julia is just going to be X. Now we know that Keller collected $42.50 more than Julia, so that means Keller would be X plus 42.5. And now Israel here, it says, collected $15 less than Keller. So before we fill in his box, that means that Israel would be X plus 42.5 minus 15. So if we go up to the top here and we do 42.50 minus $15, we would get, let's see, that'd be 5, and then borrow 3, 12 minus 5 is 7. So this would be 27.50. So that means Israel would just be X plus 27.5. And we know all of this equals the total of $125.95. Okay, so now we have to find out how much each person collected. So, if we're going to combine our like terms, we would have 3x and then, let's see, plus 42.50 plus 27.50, and this all equals 125.95. So if we combine these other two like terms here, we get 3x plus 70 equals $125.95. So now I subtract 70 from both sides. So I get 3x equals, and when you subtract these, you get $55.95. Then I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides. So then I get x equals 18.65. Alright. So now, if we skip a little bit, we know what x is. We're going to skip all the way down to the bottom here. It says, solve the equation written above to determine the amount each person collected. So for Julia, we know Julia was just X, so she was just $18.65. Right, Keller's equation was X plus 42.50. So now if we plug in 18.65 for X plus the 42.50 here, we add these up, 5, 11, another 11. So that means that Keller collected $61.15. And then if we look back at Israel's equation, his equation was X plus 27.50. So that means he would have 18.65 plus 27.50. And then if we add these up, we get a 5, we get an 11, carry the 1. Here we get 16, carry the 1. So we see here that Israel collected $46.15. And that is the answer to all the parts of the questions then. So we see how much each person raised based off of what they told us. Alright, so go ahead and skip over to the next page now, page 15. Example 2 says you are designing a rectangular pet pen for your new baby puppy. You have 30 feet of fence barrier. On a whim, you decide that you would like the length to be 6 and I'm going to cross off the third. I think that's third. I can't even read it. 6 feet longer than the width. Excuse me. So it says draw and label a diagram to represent the pet pen. So it's going to be a rectangle, so I'm going to draw a rectangle here. Alright, and we want the length to be 6 feet longer than the width. So the width I'm going to label W on the ends here. And she wants the length to be 6 feet longer. So that means the length will be W plus 6, and then W plus 6 up top. So now if we combine all of these like terms, we have 6 plus W plus another W plus 6 plus W plus W, and this all equals 30 because that's how much fence we have. So when we combine these like terms, we get 12 plus 4W equals 30. We subtract 12 from both sides. So we get 4W equals 18. And then when we divide by 4 on both sides, we get that W equals 4.5. So to find the dimensions, we know that the width is 4.5 feet, or 4.5 feet. And then the length would be 4.5 plus the 6. So that means the length would be 10.5 feet. Okay, so if we look at example 3 now, example 3 says Nancy's morning routine involves getting dressed, eating breakfast, making her bed, and driving to work. Nancy spends one third of the total time in the morning getting dressed, 10 minutes eating breakfast, 5 minutes making her bed, and the remaining time driving to work. If she spends 35.5 minutes getting dressed, eating breakfast, and making her bed, how long was her drive to work? So we're going to draw a visual here. So we're going to need 4 boxes because she was doing 4 different things that they talked about. So the first one would be getting dressed, and then making the bed, and then breakfast, and then the last one will be driving. So they told us that she spends 1/3 of the total time in the morning getting dressed. We don't know the total time, so that would be X. So this means getting dressed would be 1/3 X. She spends 10 minutes eating breakfast, so we could put a 10 in the breakfast box. 5 minutes making her bed, so put a 5 in the bed box. And then driving, we don't know. So driving is just going to be an X. Alright. The last thing they told us was that she spends 35.5 minutes doing these first 3 things. So we know that this is 35.5 minutes. So if we're going to have to use just these 3 boxes for the first part to figure out what X is. So that means we would have 1/3 X plus 15, and this equals 35.5. So I subtract 15 from both sides. So I get that 1/3 X equals 20.5. So now I have to multiply by 3 on both sides to cancel out the 3 on the bottom there. Multiply by 3. So I get that X equals 61.5. Alright. So we know, because X here in the dressed box was total time, so her total time is 61.5 minutes. That is her total. So we need to figure out how much she spends driving to work. So that means we would subtract the original 35.5 that we started with. So when you do that, if we borrow, this is 6, and this is 2. So we can see here that she spends 26 minutes driving to work. Okay. If you have any questions about this example, it's a little tricky, make sure you write them down and I'll answer them in class tomorrow. But we're going to do one more all together, so flip on over to the back page. We're going to do example 4. So it says that the total number of participants who went on the 6th grade field trip to the Natural Science Museum consisted of all the 6th grade students and 7 adult chaperones. It says 2/3 of the total participants rode the large bus and the rest rode a smaller bus. If 54 rode the large bus, how many students went on the field trip? So, if we do a visual, we have 2 boxes, one for each bus. So this would be large, and then this one would be small. And they told us that 54 students rode the large bus. Okay, so we're just going to start with that. And they also told us that 2/3 of the participants took this large bus. So we don't know how many total participants. So that means that the total we're just going to call x. So if we wrote an equation here to solve for x, we would have 2/3 x equals 54, right? Because 2/3 of this total, x is the total, rode the large bus. So to get rid of the 2/3, we multiply by 3/2 by 3/2. So if we do some canceling, we get here that, let's see, if we do some canceling, divide by 2, and 54, divided by 2, 2 minus 4, we get 1, times 4, so this is 27, and then times 3, so 27 times 3, 21, 6, 7, 8, so we get that x equals 81. So the total is 81 students, or participants, I guess, if we include the adults. So now to find how many rode the small bus, we would do 81 minus 54, 7, 11 minus 4 is 7. So our final answer here would be 27 students rode the small bus, so a total of 81 students went on the trip. Alright, so again, if you have any questions about this, bring them to class tomorrow, and then we will do some more examples as a group as well.